put curse on and beam. Beam. Deleted. Deleted. Let's go. So here we go. Way of fire. Boom. You see that health drop? Just it's like right here. This guy. Let's just get it right on top of him. See if he goes around. Good luck blocking that. Are you not entertained? Oh my god. 3 or 4 things proc instantly. Just blah. Run. Bait him. No, not gonna intercept me in the field. Maybe you are. Here we go. No, where are you going? Where are you going? You want him to get off him horse? Come on. No, we're gonna finish this one way or another. Someone's gonna win and lose. All right, don't hit him dead next time. Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com. Stamina Sorcerer. Using a bow. Is it still meta? The answer, I think, is yes. And I'm here to show you, prove you, and talk to you about the build. This build specifically is a single target killer. It's an assassin. All them tanks running around Cyrodiil using Mara's bomb, holding block indefinitely on the Ebonheart pack, and you know who you are. Get ready, because you're going to get beamed by Toxic Barrage with this build. Stamina Sorc has unmatched mobility. That's still the case. It's good survivability, and it has great open field or 1vx capabilities, and it can function highly well in Battlegrounds. Pick this build up if you want a single target assassin in ESO currently. We're going to cover the gear first, and previously everyone was using Savage Werewolf on the Stamina Sorcerer, and this got absolutely nerfed to oblivion. Thankfully, there's another gear set equally as nasty, disgusting, and cheesy, and that's Way of Fire. Way of Fire is actually an overland set from Craglorn. What it does, when you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional amount of flame damage, and it scales off of your weapon, and spell damage can happen every 2 seconds. So it makes the crystal weapon gameplay still filthy, still lethal, and still worth using. That's going to be on our front bar. It comes in heavy, so you have to be aware about that and put specific pieces on your body for that specific reason. So Way of Fire is our go-to. There's also some good flex options on the Stamina Sorcerer. Unleashed Terror is my other go-to. This, you streak through them and you apply a nasty debuff and you do a bit of damage as well. Plague Break is very good if you want to go do big, huge plays in Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds and kill multiple players. The downside of it is it has very little application to 1v1 single target. Another good option you don't want to sleep on is Order's Wrath, craftable from the High Isles. Very good set. But Way of Fire for a single target assassin is your go-to on your bow and 3 pieces on your body. Back bar options. You got a bunch of options here, but Rallying Cry. So this comes in light armor, and it's a PvP set you can get by just doing PvP through Rewards of the Worthies or buy on the traders. You're going to put 1 piece on your body, 2 jewelry, and a back bar bow. We're going to be running double bow here. What this does, gives weapon and spell damage and crit resistance. It's a combination of making you very tanky and very high damage dealing. Remember that proc set with Way of Fire scales off of weapon damage. The more we have, the harder we hit. Also has some group utility as well with it. So it comes in light, and you're going to pair it with a heavy set, so you got to be very diligent on the body pieces and how you use them. Alternative flex is Mara's Bomb. This is considered the #1 most survivability back bar defensive set. Currently, it's gone through some ups and downs, and at the making of this video, it's absolutely staggeringly fantastic. The downside, it has nothing offensively to give, and it has no real group utility beyond you surviving. So when I use this, I hit like a noodle, and I survived a lot, but I couldn't really impact the battlefield like I normally did. But Mara's Bomb on the back bar, and change your front bar set out from Way of Fire to something medium armor. Couple other medium armor options, Powerful Assault. This is great in a group if you apply Vigor, giving a massive buff to weapon and spell damage, similar to Rallying Cry, but it doesn't have the crit resistance that Rallying Cry does. But Rallying Cry and Powerful Assault can stack on top of each other for a sweaty spaghetti small group. Clever Alchemist if you want big, huge, nasty burst damage, and then Robes of the Hiss. This is an overland set. It's very similar to Mara's Bomb as well, and you can back bar it so you can flip back, get the healing over time when you're disabled or immobilized, and then flip to your front bar and go on the offensive. So front bar 5-piece, back bar 5-piece, and now we got a monster and a mythic, and we're gonna go with the meta setup, and that's Sea Serpent Coil. Sea Serpent Coil, the downside of it is, it does snare you, but you get 2 massive damage dealing buffs. Major Berserk and Major Courage, pretty much everyone's using this right now. We're a Stam Sorc, so we can streak. We have Major Expedition by dodge rolling with the bow, and we have Minor Expedition by using Hurricane. I'm also an Orc, and I'm also running Swift Jewelry, so I'm extremely fast, and the snare does not slow me down and or kill me. And the fact that I get 2 hard-hitting damage buffs that would normally be in a 5-piece in a 1-piece is my go-to mythic. Combine this with Rallying Cry and Way of Fire, and you can see why and how we're doing so much damage. Some alternatives are Markin Ring of Majesty. All around really good. You don't have to babysit anything and you're not getting snared. Torque is also very good if you struggle with resources. And Gaza Sithis is really good, but you're going to have to use Arena Weapon on your back bar and drop a Monster Helm if you want to use that setup. That leaves the Monster Helm, and I go with Engine Guardian. The reason I go with Engine Guardian is most of my gear is pretty much offensive. This is the one defensive thing I have. Yes, it gives you resources back, it heals you and so forth, but a lot of times it acts as a decoy. When you're zipping away, it's so easy for an enemy to launch a meteor or a bow ult that Engine Guardian, not you. It carries your survivability and your resource sustain in a 2-piece. Comes from Dark Shade Cavern 2. Couple alternatives here. Magma Incarnate, not nearly as good as it used to be because the minor buff is kind of redundant, the minor resolve if you're using Vigor, but you can stack Major and Minor Courage on top of each other using Sea Serpent Coil and this to get a lot more weapon and spell damage. Balorg's another option if you want ultimate burst. Typically with this build, I'm not saving up for a huge amount of ultimate to use, so I don't use Balorg. Zol the Ever Wakeful comes from Imperial Cities and also a really good Monster Helm. If you're getting stuck on top, getting dogpiled, and you need to zip away, it'll stun everybody around you, allow you to streak out of the distance. And that leaves a 1-piece. You can put an Armor of Trainee on your body. This comes from the base game areas, or you can buy on the trader. It comes with a trainee trait, so you're gonna have to transmute it if you want the best trait on the body. Druid's Braid, high IL craftable, a little bit less health, but it's an alternative if you don't want to get trainee and spend the transmutes. Now we're gonna pull up the gear chart, and this is how it looks. You're gonna have 3 heavy Way of the Fire on the body, mainly well fitted with 1 reinforce in the chest because Impen, we're using Rallying Cry, it's a bit redundant and doesn't give much value. We're gonna get Major Expedition by dodge rolling, so we're gonna be dodge rolling all the time, both for survivability, for mobility. Go on the offensive, get out of dodge, well fitted is your trait. You got the bow on the front, Way of Fire sharpened with weapon damage, and on the back bar we have a bow Rallying Cry, 1-piece on the body, 2 jewelry. You can run either 2 or 3 swift, and then Escapist Poisons with powered. This will lock people down as you shoot and bar swap, jump in to streak them down. Then we're gonna have Engine Guardian on the helm, prismatic glyphs on the big pieces, head, chest, and legs. 1 stamina recover if you struggle with that, or if you don't, you can just use Engine Guardian, rely on heavy attacks, and go all weapon damage. And you're gonna see we have 3 medium, 3 heavy, and 1 light. This gives the best balance of max stats, resource sustain, and survivability. That's the gear chart. Moving on to the skills. So we're gonna use bow with this build, and you can run bow on the front and sword and board in the back, frost, bow, whatever you want. But I like double bow. Offensive ult on the front, that's a bow, and then a back bar bow dot that hits really hard. So working left to right, we have Streak, Bound Armaments, Crystal Weapons, Critical Surge, Camo Hunter, and Toxic Barrage, which is very toxic, our ultimate. The way we use Streak, it's a get out of dodge tool, and it's also a stun. They can't block it, they can't dodge roll it. It's a massive radius, and it hits pretty hard, believe it or not. So this build, I'm not gonna be a brawler. I wanna hang in the back and go pew 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 and knock people out. But there's gonna be times where you get pressured by a Dragonite just haunting you in your face, dunking on you. You need to streak through them. Turn around, apply your damage, and/or dodge roll. Your best bet for survival is to dodge roll away or through, to streak away. Stun, dodge roll, and evade. You need to play this very fast. Streak allows you to do this, and it's not for the faint of heart if you can't do high actions per minute. Bound Armament is up next. This boosts our stat. It hits extraordinarily hard at 4 stacks, so it's kind of our finisher burst tool, if you will, that pairs very well with Crystal Weapon. Crystal Weapon has gone through a nerf, so it doesn't hit nearly as hard as it did previously. So if you want to cast it, light attack, you can still use it that way, but it does have 2 procs still. So what this does is it just adds a little bit of damage alongside our Way of Fire. So when you hit this with a weapon enchant or poisons, a bunch of damage is gonna happen at once and be a lot for someone to deal with. So just remember, light attack, weave, and crystal weapons back to back and wait for the 4-stack bound armaments to finish your target. Critical surge, we're gonna put this on our front bar. The reason why is we get a little bit more damage via the sorcerer's passives for front barring this. I typically back bar it, but it just makes sense to increase our damage. It's gonna give us the weapon damage buff, which is really nice because then we can swap to tri potions to be a little bit more survivable, have a little bit more well-rounded resources. It just heals you for a decent amount when you're doing critical damage. So believe it or not, with Vigor, Dark Deal in this, I have enough healing to survive. You throw on Mara's Bomb, if you're still struggling, you will be a walking juggernaut zipping around the battlefield. Next up is Camouflage Hunter. This is from the Fighters Guild, my flex spot on the build. Slotting it does a lot for us. It's gonna get increased weapon and spell damage. We kill someone with this on our front bar, it's gonna give us ultimate back. We can activate it to get those annoying pesky night blades. Typically I rely on stealth to get them out, but we front bar this to get the critical buff alongside the weapon damage buff with critical surge, freeing up for a lot of damage and using of tripods for survivability all around resource sustain. Now we have the most toxic skill in the game, Toxic Barrage. It's gonna channel your ultimate and just thump somebody. For 4 seconds, it's going to do a crap ton of damage and deal some poison over time. This is a channel and you can't be CC'd when using it. You can also clip or end the animation by blocking or dodge rolling. What you need to know about this, and it's a learn to play issue. You need to close in on the target, stun them with the streak, and be close. Activate your Toxic Barrage and follow them around. You're gonna be extremely vulnerable when you use Toxic Barrage. So you can't be using it at 35% HP, you're gonna be dead. You follow the target around so they can't line of sight you. If they line of sight you, go behind something, this drops off. You just blew your ultimate that costed a lot. So again, streak, lock onto the target, and beam them down with this when they're in close range, and make sure they can't avoid it by going behind a pillar or something. Best way to do this is to stun them and get a bit of free time doing damage and loading them up before this is activated. This will absolutely melt tanks that are currently blocking. Be aware though, it can be reflected. So the Sword and Bordal is the worst thing you want to see. It's a big yellow shield around a target. Do not beam them with Toxic Barrage. Otherwise, this will hit you right back in the face and melt you, not them. Back bar is bow. You have some flex options here. You can run Resto, Sword and Board, Frost Staff, really whatever you want on the back bar. The reason I like bow is because I put Poison Injection back here. It's a long duration, 20-second dot, hits very hard, and it kind of acts as our execute. So you put this on before you go for your front bar kill shot. If you're not going to use that, you can swap it out for something else. Hurricane is actually a decently hard-hitting AoE physical damage tool. We're not using it for that. We're using it for minor expedition and your armor buff. So maintain this at all times. You should be having that huge, annoying lightning glow on your character. Otherwise, you'll get nuked with low resistances. Now we have Haunting Curse. This thing hits incredibly hard, single target, and AoE, and it's pretty much unavoidable. So you put this on a Nightblade, they cloak, boom, pops them out of cloak. Someone's blocking, great, I put this on you. It's incredibly good to pair this with Poison Injection. So you can see the combo here. You pair this with Poison Injection, Haunting Curse, you flip up to your front bar, you streak through someone, Toxic Barrage, later alligator. Dark Deal is next. So what Dark Deal does is it converts magic into health and stamina. This is our big, huge burst heal. It can be channeled and bashed. So if you're playing against an experienced player, you can't just be sitting there doing Dark Deals over and over and over. Otherwise, they're gonna bash it. Most people don't because they really don't understand how effective it is. Now, with the thing about Dark Deal, this is what gets you up to full health, to proc Sea Serpent Coil. So Sea Serpent Coil will give you that, but it's only gonna give you those 2 buffs if you're at full health. So if you're at 75, 90%, you need to proc 100% health, dive bomb in, take a little bit of damage, then Sea Serpent's proc. So you can also use this preemptively to get a little bit of stamina recovery over time going. Really quintessential to use this right. Next up is Resolving Vigor. It gives you minor resolve now, so you can stack major and minor resolve. You get great healing over time. It's 5 seconds and the buff lasts 20. So typically when you're on your back bar here and there, you're just gonna cast it to maintain that spell and armor resistance. And then rely on this as a heal over time and pair it with Dark Deal for a big, huge burst heal. So how would you use this build and what's the gameplay? You have 2 long-lasting buffs on your front. So start there with Bound Armaments and Critical Surge. Then you go to your back bar. You got Hurricane back here and you got Resolving Vigor. So now you're buffed up and ready to go. So typically I start on my back bar. I lock them in with Poison Injection, Haunting Curse. Switch to my front bar, light up a Crystal Weapons, fully charge or a medium weave heavy attack and try to streak through them and see what happens. One of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to drop them to 75% health, or they're going to be super tanky. Then you're going to do a crystal weapon kind of spam weave for about 5 seconds, and then reevaluate. At that time, you should have a 4-stack bound armament up. If you have a 4-stack bound armament, you're weaving properly and they're taking a lot of pressure, wait for them to be stunnable. Circle around their feet to be down, streak through them, and going for a kill shot. Feel free to reapply your back bar pressure dots, haunting curse, and poison injection. If they're being super annoying, refresh those dots, fire up crystal weapons, wait for a 4-stack bound armament, streak through them, turn around toxic barrage, and if they should survive through that, throw a bound armament and another crystal weapon, melts them. Back bar ultimate of choice is Temporal Guard from the Sigic Order skill line, passively giving us minor protection, and activating it zips us back in time, allowing us to streak away. The way you use this is streak, dodge, and get really far ahead. When people dogpile you, just activate it, because the distance you will travel in 4 seconds on a Sorc is staggering, allowing you to make clutch escape plays. So wrapping up about the build and miscellaneous items, I'm Donald Crunk, probably not a politically correct name, but I'm an orc sorcerer, and I will get in your face and I'm nasty. I use the Warrior Munda Stone since we're using a proc set, and it scales off of that. You can see my weapon and spell damage are very low because I'm not buffed. Right around 52 to 5,500. I have Rallying Cry up, Crit Surge up, and I have my weapon damage proc. I'm sitting right around 6,000. I'm using Jewels of Mistru food. Now, Smoked Bear Haunch is better, but it's extremely expensive, and I do like this. I also tried Bewitched Sugar Skulls. If you use Bewitched Sugar Skulls, it's going to give you a bigger max stat pool. That's great, but you're going to be spending a lot more time dark dealing and relying on random Engine Guardian procs. This will lower your damage because it lowers your max stats, but it'll increase your survivability. You're using Mara's Bomb, you probably don't need to worry about that. Attribute-wise, I go 32 into 32. Basically, I want to be right around 30,000 health or 32,000, depending on the content that I'm playing. So in Cyrodiil, I'm at 32. If I'm inside Battlegrounds without CP, I'm a bit lower. Basically, the worse your reflexes are, the more HP you have. Stack 64 HP if you have to, not to get smoked. Moving on to the champion points here. A couple that influence PvP are War Mounts and Gifted Rider in the green tree. You want to take those. Rationer Liquid Efficiency is a flex option, and Steed's Blessing. In the blue tray, I have Duelist Rebuff and Ironclad. Duelist Rebuff is right here. Ironclad is down here. The best damage mitigation and usually what kills you is not having those two. Then I have 2 offensive ones, Deadly Aim and Master at Arms. 2 you can go with if you're running the Thief Munda Stone over the Warrior is Fighting Finesse. And then also, don't sleep on Occultal Overload. This is going to be nerfed in Update 36 going forward. But if you want the big, huge bloms with Plague Break, you need Plague Break along with this, and you can be a bow stam bomber. But I'm going the 1v1 killer assassin type gameplay, so I don't use that anymore. Going over the red, we got 1 over here, Fortified for more armor. Survival Instincts, you're gonna always have status effects on you. What this does is allow you to dodge roll a bunch and or hold block. You're gonna have Celerity, which is critical for the Stam Sorc, extra speed, especially if you're using Sea Serpent Coil. And then you got good old Pain's Refuge, not using Mara's Bomb typically, but this will make you extremely tanky for the more negative effects you have on you. That's it. Well, gang, that's the video. I hope you got something out of this. This damn Sorc is very hard hitting. You're still seeing people run the bow Sorc, and if you've ever got Toxic Barrage down with the crystal weapon on your death recap, this is the build that people are running. So pick this up. Come watch me at twitch.tv/Deltiasgaming. Check the link in the description below if this build changes. It's easy for me to update it and post there. Thank you for watching.